Now that you've seen the proof and recognized that parallel realities are not just theoretical, the natural question arises: how do you step into the version of life you truly desire? This section is about empowerment. It is about realizing that you are not a passive observer of your reality, but an active participant, capable of aligning your consciousness with the experiences, relationships, and circumstances that resonate with your highest self. The good news is that this process does not require external validation, magical tools, or sudden miracles. It begins with simple, intentional practices that recalibrate your awareness, your emotions, and your identity. The first step is emotional alignment. Your inner state acts as a magnetic field, drawing circumstances that match your vibration. If you are feeling doubt, fear, or frustration, the realities that unfold will reflect those emotions. Conversely, when you cultivate clarity, joy, and trust, you naturally attract experiences that mirror these feelings. Start by noticing your emotional patterns. Pay attention to moments of resistance or negativity, and gently guide your focus toward feelings that uplift and expand your sense of possibility. Meditation, breathwork, and mindfulness are powerful tools here. They help you observe without judgment and consciously shift your state to one of alignment. Visualization is another essential practice. Take time each day to imagine yourself fully living in the reality you desire. Don't just think about what you want superficially, feel it deeply. See yourself interacting with people, performing tasks, and moving through environments exactly as you would in your ideal life. Engage all your senses, feel the textures, hear the sounds, and immerse yourself in the sensations. The more vivid your mental imagery, the more your consciousness begins to align with that reality. Remember, this is not about pretending or forcing outcomes. It's about tuning into a frequency that already exists. Scripting is a complementary technique. Writing down your desired reality in the present tense reinforces your alignment with it. Describe your day, your achievements, your relationships, and your feelings as if they are happening now. The act of writing solidifies intention and allows your subconscious mind to begin recognizing possibilities that match your desired reality. Over time, you'll notice subtle shifts, new opportunities, insights, or connections that feel almost serendipitous. These are your internal alignments, manifesting externally. Surrender is equally crucial. While alignment involves intention and focus, it does not require force or control. The universe, or the field of realities, works through intelligence far beyond your individual mind. By surrendering outcomes, you acknowledge that the desired reality already exists and trust the timing and pathways that bring it into your experience. Surrender is not passive resignation, it is active trust. It allows you to release resistance, reduce anxiety, and create space for the reality that resonates most with your soul to flow into your life. Identity shifting is perhaps the most profound tool for conscious alignment. Ask yourself, who is the version of me that already lives this reality? What does she feel? How does he act? What decisions does this self make daily? Instead of focusing on external goals, embody the state of being that exists in your desired reality. Move, speak, and think as that version of yourself would. Over time, your consciousness naturally synchronizes with the reality that matches this identity, effectively drawing it into your lived experience. The contrast between your old self and this new self becomes a powerful marker of progress. Each shift in behavior, perception, or emotion is a signal that alignment is occurring. Daily awareness and attention to subtle signs are also essential. Parallel realities often communicate through subtle nudges, synchronicities, intuitive hits, emotional resonance, or unexpected opportunities. By cultivating mindfulness and attuning to these signals, you reinforce alignment. Each time you notice and act in harmony with these cues, you step deeper into the reality you desire. This practice transforms ordinary life into a field of guidance and possibility, where every moment becomes an opportunity to choose consciously. Gratitude amplifies alignment. When you focus on what already exists and appreciate it deeply, you elevate your vibration. This elevated state naturally attracts realities that mirror abundance, joy, and fulfillment. Gratitude is more than a mental exercise. It is a felt experience that communicates to the field of realities. I recognize, I appreciate, and I am ready to receive more of this. In other words, gratitude bridges the gap between noticing your current reality and inviting the expanded desired reality into your life. Integration of all these practices, emotional alignment, visualization, scripting, surrender, identity shifting, mindfulness, and gratitude, creates a holistic system. The goal is not perfection, it is conscious participation. You will not always feel perfectly aligned, and that is okay. Each moment of doubt, fear, or resistance is simply a reminder to gently return to alignment. Over time, these practices strengthen your connection to the version of reality that resonates with your highest self. You begin to notice that life flows with more ease, synchronicities multiply, and choices become clearer. Contrast framing helps solidify understanding. Think of your life before alignment: scattered, reactive, uncertain, often at the mercy of external circumstances. Now picture your life after alignment: centered, intentional, responsive, flowing with opportunities that feel preordained. The difference is not hypothetical, it is accessible through the conscious application of these practices. Each small action, each subtle shift in thought, emotion, or behavior moves you closer to the version of reality you wish to inhabit. Ultimately, conscious alignment is about reclaiming your power. You are not a passive participant, waiting for external events to dictate your experience. You are a co-creator, navigating a sea of infinite realities, drawing into your life the experiences, relationships, and circumstances that reflect your inner state. By practicing these techniques consistently, you begin to inhabit a life that no longer feels constrained by the illusion of a single reality. You are stepping fully into the multidimensional truth of your existence. The essence of this section is simple: you have already been living across multiple realities, and now you can consciously choose the reality that resonates most with your soul. The proof is all around you, the methods are within reach, and the only step left is to begin, to notice, and to align. The moment you do, you feel the weight lift, the possibilities expand, and the life you've been dreaming of begins to take form, not in some distant future, but here and now.
Now that we've begun to see through the illusion of a single reality, it's time to explore the evidence that proves you are not just imagining possibilities, you are already existing within multiple realities at once. This is not speculation. The proof is woven into your daily experiences, your memories, and even the subtle nudges that life presents when you are open to noticing them. The key is to slow down, pay attention, and recognize that reality often speaks in whispers rather than shouts. Once you begin to see these signs, the truth becomes undeniable. Parallel realities are not somewhere out there in the future. They are already intertwined with your current existence. One of the most common signs is déjà vu, the uncanny sense that you have already experienced a moment that is happening right now. Think about it. The feeling is so vivid, so specific, that it almost tricks your mind into believing time is looping back on itself. Yet, the more we investigate, the more we realize that déjà vu is not a glitch but a window. It is a glimpse of a reality where you have already lived this moment, where choices were made differently, where your awareness intersected with another version of life. Each déjà vu is a tiny proof that the paths you are walking are not singular but layered. Another subtle proof comes from what we call memory inconsistencies, or shifts in recollection. Have you ever remembered an event one way, only to later discover it happened differently, or that someone else recalls it differently? At first you might dismiss it as forgetfulness, but if you reflect deeply, these inconsistencies are actually signposts showing that consciousness moves across timelines. You are not misremembering. You are catching glimpses of another version of the same reality, a version where different choices or outcomes unfolded. The Mandela effect, a phenomenon where large groups of people remember historical events differently, is another striking example of this. When millions of people share a memory that conflicts with recorded history, it is not simply error, it is evidence that multiple timelines exist and are accessible to consciousness. Synchronicities, too, are proof that your life is flowing across parallel streams. These are the moments when events align in uncanny ways, when you think of someone and they call, or when a series of seemingly random events converge to create a perfect outcome. In a single fixed reality, synchronicities would appear to be rare coincidences, but in a multi-dimensional existence, they are the signals of alignment. They are moments where your inner state resonates with a reality that already exists, allowing it to manifest with remarkable clarity. The universe, or rather the field of realities, is constantly offering you feedback, nudging you toward the paths that match your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. Even subtle shifts in identity serve as proof. Have you ever felt like a completely different version of yourself after a major decision, experience, or emotional breakthrough? Perhaps you changed careers, ended or began a relationship, or discovered a passion that redefined your sense of purpose. In that instant, you were stepping into a new version of reality. The old you still exists in memory, but your consciousness had already shifted into another stream. Every transformation you've experienced is evidence of this ongoing multidimensional journey. You are not just growing, you are moving between versions of yourself, each aligned with a slightly different reality. Intuition is another undeniable indicator, that quiet, persistent voice guiding you toward choices that feel right, even when logic suggests otherwise, is your multidimensional self tapping into parallel realities. When you act on intuition, and things flow effortlessly, you are essentially syncing with the version of reality where your desired outcome already exists. Conversely, ignoring intuition often leads to friction, resistance, or unexpected setbacks. By noticing the subtle patterns of guidance and alignment, you begin to see proof that there is a version of life already existing in perfect harmony with your true self. Even more compelling is the experience of sudden shifts in external circumstances. Perhaps you've applied for a job you weren't sure you could get, and then against all odds it materialized. Or maybe a relationship you were uncertain about unexpectedly blossomed or ended in a way that made perfect sense in hindsight. These shifts are not random luck. They are evidence that your inner state, beliefs, and focus are selecting realities in real time. Every manifestation, every coincidence, and every serendipitous event points to the undeniable fact parallel realities are already at play in your life. Contrast framing is crucial here. Consider your life before you noticed these signs: confusion, frustration, and a sense of being stuck. You accepted things as they appeared and assumed they were permanent. Now consider your life as you begin to notice them: empowerment, curiosity, and a growing awareness of choice. Each proof point, déjà vu, memory shifts, synchronicities, intuitive nudges, functions as a bridge from the old self to the new self. The more you pay attention, the more you realize that the old belief in a single fixed reality was holding you back from engaging fully with the infinite possibilities already around you. It's also important to acknowledge that noticing these proofs requires subtle observation. They rarely arrive as obvious messages. Instead, they are woven into your daily life, moments when something feels off or magical, when coincidences are too precise to dismiss, or when you feel a deep internal knowing about what is possible. Each of these moments is a thread connecting you to the broader tapestry of parallel realities. You do not have to wait for a dramatic cosmic sign. The signs are always present, waiting for your awareness to catch them. By the end of this section, the pattern becomes clear. You have been navigating parallel realities your entire life. The evidence surrounds you in déjà vu, shifting memories, synchronicities, intuitive guidance, and transformative experiences. These are not anomalies, they are proof. You do not need to leave your current life or enter some mystical state to access other realities. They are already intertwined with your present existence. Recognizing this proof transforms the way you perceive yourself and the world. You move from passive observation to active participation, from feeling at the mercy of circumstance to understanding that your inner state determines which version of reality you step into next. The takeaway is simple but profound. If you are willing to notice, your life provides continuous proof that you are not bound to a single linear path. You are not waiting for a parallel reality to begin, you are living it now. And the more you align with awareness, intention, and emotional resonance, the more vividly you experience the reality that feels most aligned with your highest self. This realization is not a promise for some far-off future, it is an invitation to see and embrace the multidimensional truth that is already your everyday life. From the time you were very young, you were taught to believe in one simple story: there is only one reality, and it is the one you see, touch, and measure with your five senses. School reinforced it, society reinforced it, and even the people you love most have probably spoken from this framework. This is how the world works. This is what's possible. This is what's not. On the surface it feels comforting, like there is one stable foundation to stand on. But underneath, this idea is not only limiting, it is misleading. Because life has been showing you again and again that reality is far less rigid, far more fluid, and infinitely more expansive than you've been told. Think about how often your own life has defied the rules you thought were unbreakable. You once believed certain opportunities were out of reach, until they appeared. You once thought a challenge was insurmountable, until somehow you overcame it. You once felt you would never change, and yet today you look back and barely recognize who you used to be. If reality were fixed, none of this would be possible. A fixed singular world leaves no room for surprise, growth, or sudden transformation. And yet those very experiences are at the heart of what makes your life meaningful. They point to something much larger. The illusion of a single reality is just that, an illusion. Imagine reality not as a straight road you are walking, but as a vast field filled with countless paths stretching in every direction. At every moment, whether you realize it or not, you are standing at a fork. Each decision, each shift in your emotional state, each belief you hold in your mind, moves you toward one of those paths. To believe in a single reality is to cover your eyes and pretend there is only one road. To awaken to the truth is to realize that the entire field exists, and you are free to step in whichever direction you align with. The challenge is that we've been conditioned to ignore this truth. From childhood, you may have been told, be realistic, or that's not possible. When you dream too boldly, others reminded you to stay in line with the rules of this one reality. Over time, you internalized this voice, and it became the quiet critic in your head that whispers, "This is just the way life is. Don't expect more." That voice is not truth. It is programming. And as long as you obey it, you remain trapped in the illusion of a single limited world. Yet even within that illusion, cracks begin to show. Haven't you noticed moments that feel as though you've stepped into another version of life without explanation? You meet someone new, and suddenly your world expands in ways you never imagined. You change jobs, cities, or relationships, and it feels like you've become a different person overnight. These are not coincidences. They are glimpses into the fact that you were never walking one single road. You were shifting paths all along. This is where contrast becomes important. Let's compare two versions of self. The old self believes in one world, one story, one outcome. This self feels trapped, powerless, and stuck repeating the same patterns because it cannot see beyond the narrow lane of possibility. The new self, however, begins to glimpse the field of infinite realities. This self starts to sense that each thought and action carries weight, that every moment is alive with possibility. The difference is profound. One self lives like a passenger on a train, with no control over its direction. The other lives like a conscious traveler, choosing paths, exploring landscapes, and discovering new versions of self-expression. This is why letting go of the illusion matters so deeply. If you continue to cling to the idea of one singular reality, you unconsciously limit what you allow yourself to reach for. You tell yourself stories like, "I'll never have that kind of relationship," or "I'm not the type of person who succeeds like that." These statements are not reflections of truth. They are reflections of a reality you keep choosing. The field itself does not limit you. It is infinite. You are the one holding yourself in one storyline by refusing to see the others. And here's the liberating part. The moment you recognize this, everything changes. It doesn't mean you suddenly jump into a totally different universe in a dramatic sci-fi way. It means you start noticing that reality itself is more flexible than you believed. A shift in your perspective leads to a shift in the opportunities you notice. A shift in your emotions leads to a shift in the energy you carry into the world, which in turn shapes how others respond to you. These small invisible shifts add up until one day you look around and realize you are living in a very different version of reality than you once inhabited. Think of the times in your life when you felt truly aligned. Maybe you were in love, maybe you were excited about a project, maybe you simply woke up one morning with a sense of deep peace. In those moments, didn't it feel like reality itself conspired to meet you halfway? The right people appeared, synchronicities multiplied, doors opened without effort. Now contrast that with times when you felt trapped in fear, doubt, or hopelessness. In those states, reality seemed to mirror back your inner chaos. Things went wrong, delays appeared, opportunities slipped through your fingers. Both experiences were real, but they were not the same reality. They were parallel experiences unfolding according to your state of being. When you accept this, you stop asking, is there only one reality? And instead begin asking, which reality am I aligning with right now? That question is the gateway to freedom. Because once you see through the illusion, you can begin to consciously participate in shaping the version of reality you experience. You no longer feel like a victim of circumstances, you become a co-creator. This section, then, is about dissolving the blindfold. For so long, the belief in one rigid world has covered your eyes, limiting what you thought possible. Now you are invited to take it off, to open your vision, and to see the infinite field stretching around you. You don't have to understand the quantum mechanics or metaphysics in detail. What matters is the direct experience of noticing your life has already shifted in ways that prove there is more than one storyline. And as you move forward, you will see this truth more clearly than ever before. You are not living in a single reality. You never were. You are living in a sea of infinite realities, and the only illusion is the idea that you were ever limited to just one. As we reach the conclusion of this journey, it's time to take a step back and reflect on the truth you've been uncovering. You are not limited to a single linear existence. You have always been navigating multiple realities, shifting subtly with every thought, emotion, and decision. What once seemed mystical or impossible is now an observable truth. Your consciousness is multidimensional, and your life is the intersection of countless possibilities. Recognizing this is not merely an intellectual exercise. It is a profound awakening that transforms how you experience yourself and the world. Living as your multidimensional self begins with awareness. Notice the subtle signs, the synchronicities, the intuitive nudges, and the emotional resonance that guide you toward one reality or another. Each of these moments is a gentle reminder that you are already connected to the infinite web of possibilities. By paying attention, you honor the multidimensional nature of your existence and allow yourself to consciously participate in shaping the reality that feels most aligned with your soul. At the same time, it is essential to embody trust and surrender. Alignment does not require force, struggle, or trying to control every outcome. It requires letting go of old beliefs about limitation, accepting the evidence of your own shifting experience, and trusting the intelligence of the universe or the field of realities that already supports your desires. This balance of intention and surrender allows life to flow with elegance, opening doors, creating opportunities, and guiding you toward experiences that reflect your highest potential. Contrast continues to play a crucial role in your understanding. Think of your life before awakening, feeling stuck, limited, reactive, and often at the mercy of external circumstances. Now imagine living as your multi-dimensional self, empowered, aware, intentional, and responsive to the subtle guidance of reality. This shift is not hypothetical. It is achievable through conscious observation, emotional alignment, visualization, scripting, identity shifting, mindfulness, and gratitude. Each of these practices reinforces your connection to the version of reality that resonates most deeply with your authentic self. Finally, remember that the journey is ongoing. You will continue to encounter moments that test old beliefs, challenge old patterns, and invite you to expand further. But with awareness, alignment, and trust, these moments become opportunities rather than obstacles. You are no longer a passive participant waiting for change. You are the conscious navigator of your own multi-dimensional existence. Step forward into your life with curiosity, courage, and clarity. Notice the proof around you, embrace the alignment within you, and trust that the reality you desire is not distant, it is already intertwined with the present moment. You are living it now. The more you embody your multi-dimensional self, the more effortlessly life will reflect the infinite possibilities that have always existed. You are not waiting for a parallel reality to appear. You are already living it. Imagine for a moment that the reality you are experiencing right now is not as solid, fixed, or singular as you've always believed. What if, instead of one straight line that you're walking through time, there are infinite versions of you moving through infinite versions of reality? And what if the truth is you're not waiting to enter a parallel reality? You are already living in one. This is not just a poetic idea, it's a radical shift in perspective that challenges the very foundation of how we think about life. The people who find themselves drawn to ideas like manifestation, shifting, or quantum living are not simply curious about something mystical. Deep down they are sensing something about their own experience of existence that doesn't quite fit the traditional narrative. Think about how often you've felt like life took a sudden, unexpected turn. Maybe you woke up one day and realized that the person you are now feels dramatically different from who you were even a year ago. Perhaps you look back at old photos, old journal entries, or old memories, and it feels almost as though you are observing someone else's life entirely. Or maybe you've had those peculiar moments where reality feels almost off, where conversations, events, or outcomes happen in ways you didn't expect, and yet somehow feel strangely familiar. These are not random glitches, but glimpses into the truth. You are constantly moving between parallel versions of reality without even realizing it. The introduction of this journey is not about convincing you with rigid facts or complex science. Instead, it is about guiding you into a deeper way of noticing your own life. The calm, quiet realization that you've been living in a fluid, multidimensional field all along can create a sense of both wonder and empowerment. You've been taught to believe in a single, unchangeable world where circumstances are locked in place. That belief can feel heavy, almost suffocating at times, because it traps you in the illusion that you are powerless against what life presents. But here's the contrast. When you recognize that reality itself is flexible, that you are not moving through a fixed path, but through infinite possibilities, you suddenly feel lighter, freer, more in control of your destiny. There is something magnetic about this awareness. You start to notice the subtle choices you make, the energy you carry, the emotions you embody, and how all of those factors align you with different realities. Without realizing it, you've already lived many lifetimes within this lifetime, different careers, different relationships, different versions of yourself. Each time you made a choice, whether it was bold or small, you shifted. Each time you decided to let go of something, to trust a new path, or even to give in to fear, you stepped into a different branch of possibility. This is not theory, it's happening to you every single day, but most people don't realize it, and so they cling to the idea of a single storyline. They say things like, "This is just the way life is," or "I can't change what has already been set." They live in the heaviness of a so-called fixed destiny, and yet something deep within them whispers that there must be more, that there must be another way. That whisper is the voice of your multidimensional self calling you to remember the truth. You are not confined to one reality, you are the traveler of many. You are the consciousness that flows across different streams of existence, weaving your awareness into whichever path you align with most strongly. As you open yourself to this perspective, it is natural to feel a sense of awe. It's as if the walls around your life begin to dissolve, and suddenly you see the vastness of what's possible. And with that awe comes responsibility, because if you are truly shifting through realities all the time, then what you choose to believe, how you choose to feel, and the actions you decide to take are not small things. They are the keys that determine which version of reality you will step into next. This introduction is an invitation to slow down, to look more deeply at the fabric of your life, and to allow yourself to wonder, how many times have you already shifted without noticing? How many opportunities have appeared and vanished, simply because you were unaware of your power to choose differently? And most importantly, what would your life look like if you consciously embraced this truth, not as an abstract idea but as a lived reality. In the moments ahead, we will explore how the illusion of a single reality has shaped your thinking, how the proof of parallel realities shows up in everyday life, and how you can begin to align consciously with the version of reality that feels most aligned with your soul. But before we get there, let this introduction sink in. You are not waiting for your breakthrough moment, not waiting for some dramatic shift in the universe. The proof is already around you. You are already living in a parallel reality, and the more you notice it, the more your life begins to expand in ways that once seemed impossible.